Before you scroll away, imagine this for a second: a busy street, flashing sirens in the distance, and a tiny puppy doing something no one around could explain. What happened next changed lives forever. If stories that restore your faith in humanity mean something to you, take a moment right now to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this deserve to be shared, and you never know who might need to hear it today. It was just after sunset when Officer Daniel Hayes began his evening patrol. He had been on the force for 12 years, long enough to stop expecting quiet shifts or simple answers. The city was restless that night, humming with traffic and impatience, and Daniel felt the familiar weight of responsibility settle into his shoulders as he drove. He had just finished responding to a minor call when he noticed something unusual near a closed convenience store. A small, muddy puppy stood near the curb, trembling, its ribs visible beneath tangled fur. At first, Daniel assumed it was another abandoned stray, sadly not uncommon. He slowed the car, preparing to call animal control, when the puppy suddenly ran straight toward his vehicle. Daniel slammed the brakes. The puppy didn't bark or growl. Instead, it sat up on its hind legs and lifted its front paws, pressing them together as if begging. Its eyes locked onto Daniel's with an intensity that made his breath catch. The dog whined softly, then turned and ran a few steps away, stopping to look back, as if urging him to follow. Daniel shook his head, half smiling at himself. "I'm imagining things," he muttered. But when the puppy ran back again, pawing at his boot and tugging gently at his pant leg, the smile faded. There was fear in those eyes. Real fear. Against protocol and common sense, Daniel turned off his radio and followed. The puppy led him through a narrow alley littered with trash and broken glass, moving faster now, glancing back every few steps to make sure he was still there. The deeper they went, the quieter the city became, until the sounds of traffic were replaced by dripping water and distant echoes. Daniel's instincts screamed that something was wrong. This wasn't playful behavior. This was desperation. At the end of the alley, the puppy stopped beside a rusted metal door leading into an abandoned warehouse. It scratched at the door, then looked up at Daniel and whimpered, a sound so raw it made his chest ache. He hesitated only a second before pulling the door open. The smell hit him first: damp concrete, oil, and something else that made his stomach tighten. Inside, in the dim light filtering through broken windows, lay a young woman, unconscious and pale, her leg pinned beneath a fallen beam. Blood had dried along her temple, and her breathing was shallow. Daniel radioed for backup and medical assistance, his voice steady despite the surge of adrenaline. As he waited, he knelt beside the woman, checking her pulse, speaking softly even though he didn't know if she could hear him. The puppy rushed to her side, licking her hand, tail wagging weakly now that help had come. Daniel realized then that this dog hadn't been abandoned at all. It had been guarding her, staying by her side until hunger and fear forced it to seek help. The woman's name was Emily. She had been photographing urban decay for a college project when the floor gave way beneath her. Her phone was crushed in the fall, and no one had heard her calls for help. If the puppy hadn't acted, she would not have survived the night. At the hospital, doctors said that another hour without help could have been fatal. As Emily regained consciousness, the first thing she asked about was the puppy. "Is he okay?" she whispered, tears filling her eyes when Daniel assured her he was safe. The story spread quickly. Body cam footage of the tiny dog begging the officer went viral overnight. News outlets called it a miracle. People called the puppy a hero. But Daniel knew the truth was quieter and deeper than that. This wasn't about heroism, it was about loyalty, love, and an unbreakable bond formed in the darkest moment. Emily explained later that she had found the puppy weeks earlier, abandoned and sick. She had planned to take him to a shelter after finishing her project, never imagining he would save her life before she could save his. She named him Chance, because that's what he had given her. Daniel visited Emily and Chance often during her recovery. The puppy never left her side, and every time Daniel entered the room, Chance's tail wagged furiously, as if remembering the moment their paths crossed. When Emily was finally discharged, Daniel surprised her with adoption papers already filled out. He had handled everything himself. "You two belong together," he said simply. Months later, Daniel still patrolled the same streets, but something inside him had changed. Whenever the job felt heavy, he remembered a small, frightened puppy standing on two legs, begging not for food, but for help. He remembered that sometimes, the smallest voices carry the most important messages, and that compassion doesn't always follow the rules. So if this story moved you, if it reminded you that kindness can come from anywhere and that paying attention can save a life, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Share it with someone who needs hope today. Because somewhere, right now, someone, or some small puppy, is waiting for help, and someone else needs to be reminded to listen.